BlizzCon was great, but we missed key information about the future of WoW. We know close to nothing about the new dungeons and actually nothing about the raid. There are systems they announced will be present but mentioned nothing about some of them. Is this a cause for alarm? Calm yourselves. But this definitely raises questions because some of the things we were supposed to hear stuff about are pretty important. First of all, we do know the names of the new dungeons and can maybe infer that City of Threads will likely feature Nerubians and Priory of the Sacred Flame is tied to the Arathi, and maybe this school boss fight. Have we ever fought a Red Paladin before? And let's actually take a moment here and unpack the features video they released, since speculation is all we have at this point. We have 3 major combats here, and I'm mostly assuming that they are dungeons since I can only count 5 players in each one of these, but I failed math, so it's anybody's guess. Now, one of these could be the new raid and they just put 5 people in for whatever, or 5-man raiding has officially been confirmed. But likely these are dungeons and a bunch of stuff is going on that I won't go into because that's not the point of the video. The only thing we know about the new raid is that it's called Nerubar Palace, and from the sketches they did, it will have 8 bosses. Morgan Day went on to talk about the structural design of the raid, which is cool, but we don't know any of the bosses or who the last boss is or anything aside from a few schematics. Does this mean the raid is not done? Maybe nothing is really done considering the alpha is due spring 2024, but it could be too incomplete to show, or it could be tied to some story spoilers, although that never stopped them before. Or it could be because there was so much to show at BlizzCon they just didn't have the time to cover dungeons and raids properly because there's nothing really new about them, not as much as there's new content like delves, new class updates like hero talent and so on. Or even better, it's likely they are also revitalizing raiding in the same way they have revitalized Mythic Plus in Dragonflight, something they also did not announce prior to Dragonflight release. Granted, there wasn't a BlizzCon for it at the time, but raids could undergo some changes in terms of the formula, similar to how they changed Mythic Plus from Season 1 moving into Season 2 of Dragonflight, where we got rid of the season affix, we pushed the scaling of the dungeons, affixes were removed and added, loot was reorganized together with the crest system. And all of this might require a dedicated announcement or dev livestream that can give them enough time to go over all of the details. Which brings us to the next big thing they kind of should have said something about. Our Patreon page, where you can support our content and more amazing segues such as the one you're witnessing right now. Not only that, but you'll have access to bloopers, early videos, and even customized wallpapers for your characters. Link below, and love ya for bearing with my shenanigans. But crests are indeed something they needed to mention at BlizzCon. They said they would keep this system moving forward and iterate upon it. And you may think, who cares? Well, you probably will care. The crest system, functionally, it worked and still works as a system to upgrade gear and scale it based on the difficulty of the content. But it's too convoluted as a system to keep for existing players that don't watch YouTube guides about it or read online articles on how to use the system. It's even more of a shit show for new players or players that haven't played in years. Those people will experience this with a varying degree of friction. Add on top of this the fact that delves will also reward gear that will benefit from this. We don't have it confirmed, but I imagine that if delves will contribute to the vault progress in a meaningful enough way to be equivalent to end heroic raid loot, it will also be subject to upgrade crest system. And if they keep the same gear buckets of veteran, champion, and so on, it can be a mess. Mostly because all of these buckets, the gear types, the crest types, and where you obtain both of these overlap and intersect at varying levels of content difficulties, where it's a hassle to try to keep track of it all while adding an extra layer of gear acquisition in the form of delves. Similar clarifications are needed with professions. Although the system by and large has been a success in making crafting interesting and relevant across the board, it has solid issues. Crafting orders are still a miss in terms of implementation. They have been abused in the first season of Dragonflight, where players that didn't farm professions 24/7 were essentially cut out from the entire market. In the 10.1 update, the orders received a cap, but one of the most asked for features has still not been added. Public orders having the quality requirement added, just like personal orders have. That and a way where I don't have to use add-ons to spam trade chat for me or attempt to read half a letter in a trade chat before 5 other messages with crafters looking for work are spammed. We definitely need a revision on the implementation of crafting orders so that you as a player can sell your crafts and also buy the crafts you want without pulling your hair out. We can even go into the knowledge point system and a way to refund your points via a cost if necessary. We did a video about this and many more system changes a week or two ago where we addressed more core issues with WoW today that need to be addressed and changed, and although some have been, yay, like the account-wide renown, now known to be accessed through the warband feature, others have not. Another thing that seems to be pushed to the wayside is Mage Tower. I don't mean the actual Mage Tower, but I kinda do a bit. With the release of Dragonflight and the Evokers, the Mage Tower was scaled for all classes once again, but did not include the Evokers. Will the Mage Tower be scaled once more for the War Within? Will it include Evokers? Will it be left as legacy content? Does that mean we will have a new solo player challenge mode, since it was clearly enjoyed and requested before? Or are we just going to be without one? I don't want Mage Tower in the War Within, but I do want some prestigious challenge that tests me as a player and unlocks cool shit I can boast with. This has always been popular and enjoyed, and it would have been nice to have some kind of info on it, or at least on their intention for this style of content. If it was popular enough to be brought back almost twice and scaled about twice, then it's clearly something the game needs in one form or another. We're not trying to be accusatory or anything, rather suspicious and curious as to why the formula was different this time around. At Blizzcon, I mean. Maybe stuff was actually not finished enough to be presented on the big stage. Maybe their focus at Blizzcon was more on the new, more on the "this is the future of WoW" mentality, which is better shown by showing new stuff rather than fixed stuff. Since they did say one thing, however, that they will do a Q&A in a live stream on November the 3rd, which I guess would have happened before the release of this video. So not sure if it will include any of the topics that we've covered right now, but it does mean we will be due for more WoW casts that can elucidate the mystery. To properly clarify it, this BlizzCon has been amazing in terms of all the new stuff coming. So was Dragonflight when it was announced. The new zones, the new class, the aspects returning and giving us dragon lore and content, dragon riding and so on were all fantastic and hype-inducing. But as we all came to know, if the core things about the game still need fixing, all of these treats and desserts won't fill our stomachs. And as far as the War Within is concerned, we had a lot of desserts announced and maybe one too few main courses shown. And that's not that bad actually, considering we will have yearly expansions. What? You haven't heard? Great, because then you can watch our video on it. We definitely believe that WoW expansions are coming at a much faster rate because, well, they said it, but also it makes sense. So click here to see why.